Hello and welcome to Inside Sports. I'm your host, Todd Blackstock. On today's show, Mike Kern from the St. Louis-based Missouri Valley Conference will join us to discuss a landmark year for the conference and preview the upcoming fall sports season. We'll take an inside look at St. Louis sportscaster Brian McKenna's courageous battle with cancer and a solemn look back at the tragic death of another. Plus, we'll recognize one of the best sports information directors in the business. So stay tuned for this and much more coming up next on Inside Sports. And congratulations to Chris Mitchell of Washington University, who recently received the Cosida Warren Berg Award for the Best Sports Information Director, Non-Division I in the nation.
It was a great honor, and you know, WashU's been a great place to work the past 18 years, and I love WashU. I love our student athletes, and it's a real passion of mine. Doesn't feel like a job when I come to work every day, and it's great to be recognized by my peers.
Well, I'm looking at all these yearbooks and media guides from over the years, and you know, it's pretty neat how you guys are archiving that. And joining me now is the Associate Commissioner of the Missouri Valley Conference, Mike Kern. Mike, how are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
I tell you, Mike, it was so exciting, the Arch Madness tournament this year. The final four teams of the tournament were from Illinois, and then Porter Moser and that gang, they sure struck the chord of the nation.
They really did. You know, of course, they went to the men's Final Four with 4 wins before losing to Michigan. They almost had that game, too. They were going to play Villanova in the title game if they had 6 more minutes of success. But what a story. What a story. We had four Illinois schools in the semifinals of our tournament for the first time ever, and Loyola making our first Final Four run since 2013.
You know, that was the Cinderella story of the year when Sister Jean, I think it just did tug on the heartstrings of everyone across America.
Captivated the nation. An international story, really, because she was doing interviews constantly all the way through the NCAA tournament, and then at the men's Final Four, they have breakout sessions where they have the student athletes there with their coaches, and they had a special session for Sister Jean. 300 people in the room. It was packed. It was nuts. It was like a first-time ever thing that they had to do something like that. Afterward, I was sitting down with Ben Richardson from Loyola. He was the first Loyola student athlete interview after Sister Jean. It was me, one person, and Ben. I said, Sister Jean has outdone you, and certainly what a story.
You know, it's a tremendous amount of work putting those tournaments together, but as soon as they're over, it's like the next sports come. I mean, and then all of a sudden the baseball season comes around, and I know there was some tremendous success this year in the baseball season in the Missouri Valley.
The 2-1 right up the middle off of Weaver's glove. Watkins leaps into the air, grabs it on the first. How about that 4-3 double play? And actually go 1.
Yeah, Missouri State is one of our top teams in baseball, and they seem to reload every year. They had another successful tournament. They won the tournament. Dallas Baptist got in as an at-large, and they were a couple of games away from taking down Arkansas in the Super Regional, so they had a nice run at it too. So our baseball's been very successful over time, and Missouri State's been one of our top programs.
Now, the Missouri Valley Conference is based here in St. Louis. Your offices are here. And there's no teams in St. Louis in the conference, but that's good because it keeps it neutral. You can, you know, kind of go around to different sites for different tournaments and things. We'd love to keep the basketball here, but things do rotate around. You know, what are your thoughts of being in St. Louis, and how do you like living here and being here?
Well, I'm born and raised in St. Louis, so I love it that the office is here, of course, but we've had our men's tournament in March. It'll be our 29th straight year in St. Louis, and playing at the newly named Enterprise Center next year. Our women's tournament actually is a neutral site tournament as well. We play in Moline, Illinois, about 4 hours north of here, and it's been a good experience for both tournaments to be neutral. It gives the fans a chance to gather at one site instead of trying to figure out all the navigation of a home school playing on their home floor.
Hi, I'm Ozzie Smith, and you're watching STL TV.
What does Mike Kern mean to the Missouri Valley?
Consistency, excellence, professionalism, dependability. He's the best. And you know, I can tell you that when we talk to members of the NCAA Division I Men's Basketball Committee, and they provide us an opportunity several times during the basketball season to report on our teams, they have told me privately that he is the best conference PR person in the country.
And joining me now in the studio is the Associate Commissioner of the Missouri Valley Conference, Mike Kern. Mike, you know, we were just over in your office, and now we're back here at the studio. Talking to Doug there a little bit, it doesn't sound like he's ready to retire just yet. You've been with the conference for a really long time now, what, over 20 years?
Yeah, it'll be my 28th year this fall.
28th year, and he calls you one of the best, if not the best in the business. Talking to other media people around the country, and when we have the Arch Madness, everybody really likes working with you. So if the possibility came around and you got offered a job, I mean, say in Division I, 1AA, would you consider it a commissioner's job?
Yeah, I would. I mean, I love where I work and I love serving our members, but I'd consider any opportunity. I would most cherish staying in St. Louis and working for the Valley in any capacity, though.
Sure. 2017 and 18, the school year, was a tremendous year. You guys call it a landmark year for the Missouri Valley Conference. Can you maybe discuss some of the great success that happened throughout 2017-18?
Well, it was a great year for us landmark-wise. It was a 25th anniversary celebration of women's sports in our league. We added women's sports at the beginning of 1992. And it also coincided with the 45th anniversary of Title IX, which offers equal opportunities for women's and college athletics, which is great for me. I have two daughters, so I like to see them have an opportunity like the boys did. But you know, we honored our 25th anniversary teams with anniversary teams in each sport. And Jackie Stiles, of course, headlines that. She held the all-time Division I scoring record for almost 2 decades after leaving Southwest Missouri State, then at Southwest Missouri State in 2001. Was
it 2001 when they had the women's Final Four here? I remember that because you had Jackie Stiles. She was like the big star of the weekend, and then you had Neil Ivey from Notre Dame, you know, a local product. And you think back in 25 years of women's sports, I can't imagine not having women's basketball and volleyball now.
Oh, I know. Well, we've had the opportunity to host 2 women's Final Fours here in St. Louis. We also had a men's Final Four in 05, but 01 and 09 were the 2 events that we held in St. Louis for the women.
Fantastic. You've had some great success in football over the years. You know, I never thought of the Missouri Valley as really a football conference, but let's talk about some of the great players that came through the Missouri Valley. Most recently, Carson Wentz from North Dakota State, and haven't they had quite a run?
Yeah, he took the NFL by storm with the Eagles last year, and he was the number 2 overall draft pick, I think behind Goff, who went to the Rams, ironically. But he had a great run with North Dakota State, led into multiple national championships at the FCS level. It's a Division I, kind of a lower scholarship level, but it's Division I football. So he had a great run in the FCS, and certainly he's going to have a great run in the NFL.
David Johnson, if you got to like the things that David Johnsons have done recently in the NFL. Rodney Harrison, I guess he was from Western Illinois?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was the guy that rolled up on Trent Green's knee. So you know, that's always something I'll always remember, and kind of, you know, I had a little bit of anger towards him, but look what happened with Kurt Warner.
You never knew. Trent Green might have been the guy that led us to the Super Bowl, and Kurt Warner takes over, a guy that was not an NFL draft pick in any way, and just kind of made a team and stuck around, and obviously he's been great now in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Now, were you with the Valley back when Kurt Warner was playing? I mean, did you see anything like that possibly happening down the road?
You know, he was our league MVP. It was called the Gateway Conference when he played in our league, and we became the Missouri Valley in the late 2000s. But he did play in our league, played 1 year. He played actually behind a trivia question. Jay Johnson led the Northern Iowa Panthers to playoff runs 3 straight years. Kurt didn't get to play till he was a senior, but he did win the MVP of our league that year and best player on the best team.
You know, Kurt's one of those guys, he's just like an unsung hero. He just kind of sits back, waits for his opportunity, and when that opportunity presented itself, he took the most advantage of it.
And that's true with a lot of FCS players that hadn't got the looks from the FBS schools that get all the notoriety, but I think the FCS is well represented. We had, in the FCS level in the NFL, we had with the equivalent of almost 2 full teams. 113 players last year were from FCS schools, and we had about 20 of them from the Missouri Valley.
And Brian Cox, that's a name we'll always remember here, you know, from the mean streets of East St. Louis. And when Brian made his debut in the NFL, he made a splash not only with his tackling, but with his you know, I don't want to say his mouth, but like he was a fired up guy that wasn't afraid to tell you what he thought. He talked a lot of smack.
He was a personality. He did also play at Western Illinois, where Rodney Harrison played, and when I had the opportunity to watch him in college also, and I've been around for a long time, obviously, but he was one of the best players I've ever seen. He was always everywhere on the field at all times, and he didn't change when he got to the NFL.
Now, you've got the basketball alignment with all those teams, but in the Valley, not all the teams play in football and basketball. Can you discuss how the alignment is? Because you've got like the Dakota teams and some people up Northwest, and then you have your core group of teams here in the Valley that also play in the basketball division.
Yeah, so in the mid-2000s, some of our presidents and athletic directors said, hey, let's share the century history of the Missouri Valley. Let's see if we can share that name and use that as a springboard to more notoriety for our league. So we changed our name from the Gateway to the Missouri Valley. So we do have 5 schools that play in both leagues and 5 that only play football with us. But different name, but the same, different conference, but the same name.
Fantastic. Let's take a look at this fall's preview right now. We've got a lot of outstanding teams coming back. With North Dakota State, I mean, what a run they're on. What, 7 out of 8?
They won 6 out of 7 national championships, and in the other year we had Youngstown State represent our league. So we have a team in the national championship 7 straight years. We've been monikered the SEC of the SCS, and I think that's pretty accurate with the success level our conference has had.
Got a couple minutes left. Let's talk about this fall's preview. It looks like a young man named Taryn Christian from South Dakota State is looking pretty strong.
He is going to probably set a lot of our records, both passing, all-purpose yards, and touchdowns, and he plays at South Dakota State, which is probably picked 2nd in our league this year for football, and he has a chance to be National Player of the Year.
What a banner year for Missouri State in all sports. I know they took home, I think, an all-sports trophy. Can you discuss the great success of Missouri State last year?
Missouri State won 9 titles, both regular season and postseason championships combined, which is one of the best we've ever had. And they won in women's soccer tournament. They won the men's soccer regular season. They won the volleyball regular season and tournament. They won baseball. So they were well represented, but they won the all-sports trophy for us for the 5th time in their history since joining our league in the early 90s.
And women's basketball, women's volleyball has been tremendous, and I know we want to give that a little plug before we let you go.
Yeah, our powers have been Northern Iowa and Missouri State and Illinois State in women's volleyball, and Northern Iowa will probably be picked to win this fall, but we've had multiple bids in the NCAA tournament for 10 of the last 12 years, and we expect to do it again.
Unfortunate passing of Larry Cutler, longtime Drake broadcaster, did some shows in St. Louis. Just a tremendous guy, and he just passes away in a flash flood.
It's totally unexpected, obviously, but he will be missed by the Drake community. His memorial service was, as you could imagine, well attended, and people will sorely miss Larry.
Mike, thank you so much for joining us on the set and at your offices. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for everything you do for us. Now we're going to weigh in with Commissioner Doug Elgin as he looks at the tragic death of longtime Drake announcer Larry Cutler.
Yeah, certainly it was a shock to us to learn of Larry Cutler's passing, and an individual that meant a lot to Drake University and to the Des Moines community, grew up there, a Valley High School graduate, and someone who's been an important part of our radio media for 15 years. And, Larry was a guy who made everybody feel comfortable, had a deep knowledge of Drake basketball and college basketball in general, and we're certainly going to miss him.
Now, what do you think was so special about Larry? What made him so, fun for the community in the Missouri Valley?
I think as I look back on my experience with Larry, he was a regular guy, no pretenses, loved college athletes and student athletes and college basketball, and really made people feel at home when they visited Drake. And I often would do a halftime interview with him. He was very complimentary of our league staff and the entire conference. And I just think Larry, again, epitomized what strong media people have, and that's a knowledge of what he's covering and a feel for the people in it.
A lot of people don't realize, how precious life can be. Here's a guy who's in good health, and all of a sudden there's some weather issues, and you even told me a minute ago, if you could explain how crazy flash flooding can be.
Back in the 70s, I was commuting to work in New Jersey, and heavy rains, and all of a sudden, we were in a puddle, and then all of a sudden it was in a current, and then all of a sudden the car was moving swiftly through the water. So it can happen in the nick of time, and you know, you often see weather people on television saying, if you see still water, don't enter it if you're in a car. If you see moving water, rather. And evidently Larry just got caught in a situation where it came upon him quickly, and he got out of the van he was in, and it swept him away. And who knows what happens once that happens. We will certainly honor him in some way, and we've talked about that already. We'll do something, I think, at our tournament when the membership is gathered together, and certainly a guy that's really going to be missed by the Drake community.
I was told that before Larry's drowning, he had just beat cancer. Well, joining me now on Inside Sports is longtime St. Louis sportscaster who is currently battling cancer, Brian McKenna. Brian, thanks for joining us.
Todd, how are you?
I'm doing well. Coming out of the Larry story there. STL TV's former guy worked here. I did a lot of radio with Don Johnson, an old football player at Mizzou, scored a couple TDs against Notre Dame back in the early 70s, was actually Larry's roommate.
DJ was.
DJ was
Wow.
Larry's roommate. You knew Larry a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. Just a legendary broadcaster. And Doug said it right. I mean, he had such a passion for his craft, and what a tragic way to go.
It's terrible. Well, Brian, you've been in radio for many years now. Gosh, at least 20, 25 years. I didn't even know you were a radio guy when I knew you previously in college. But you know, through your run, what were some of the favorite stations you worked at, and what radio team do you really remember really amping it up and having a great time with?
Let's see. I work for too many radio stations. You don't have enough time because, you know, in radio, you're hired to be fired.
Right.
I had a great time working with Rich Gould of Channel 11. We did a show called The Casino Queen. It was a lunch show. Jeff Gordon worked with Gordo and Bob Ramsey and Joe De Niro, and the list goes on and on.
I know J.C. Corcoran's very fond of you.
Oh.
He had a great time working with you, and I've heard some fun stories.
Yeah, well, see, now I'm in trouble because JC's going to see this, and I left him out of it. But no, JC gave me my big break, so I will always have a spot in my heart for JC, and he's still at it.
Yep,
He's working with you, right?
The Classic Rock 93.1 KBDZ. Yep, morning show over there. So stepping back a little bit, you were in the Lindbergh Hall of Fame, so you've been quite an athlete your whole life. I know soccer, I believe, is soccer and maybe martial arts and karate is your prowess, but I wanted to congratulate you about being selected into the Lindbergh Hall of Fame. It's been a while now. Down at Southeast Missouri State University, I know you played, after your college career, you played a little intramural and you put together a ragtag soccer team that had a little success, didn't
Yeah,
it?
we actually recruited you to be on that team, if you remember.
really?
Yeah, we actually beat the varsity down at Southeast Missouri. We beat the actual varsity team, and not only did we beat them, we kind of destroyed them. And I'm not even sure they still have soccer down there now. We may have closed that program down.
There's a funny picture of us. Oh, there it is right
my
there.
God.
They got you at the top circled, and I was the goalie down there.
I'm wearing a tank top. What is
There's
that
Matt
all
Walters
about?
on the left, Steve
Wow.
Vogel, Ken Fix.
I'll buy that off you if you never show that again.
Yes, I'll make sure I put that
Please.
back.
I'm single. Don't ever show that.
It looks like the Village People or something like that. Anyway,
Would you take that off the screen? Thank you.
that is so funny. It's okay. We've got some other pictures that are probably a little gruesome that you're okay
Yeah,
with, but
absolutely.
not the Village People thing. I remember having some fun with you when the Rams came to town, and the first few games were at Busch Stadium, which
Yeah, I
was a
remember
whole
that.
lot of fun. And the Rams had this real strict, I guess, media guy,
Rick Smith.
and the first game, I think Keith Wortman or somebody cheered. He was screaming, "No cheering, no cheering!" And then I think Keith Wortman or one of those guys told him, "Look, if you get in my face again, I'm going to throw you over this rail."
Yeah, Rick was kind of a dictator there in the press box, and it took a while to get used to him. But then after you got to know him, he really was a good guy. I think he was just trying to set the tone.
This is a working press box,
Yes.
no clapping. He actually, I had to argue with him to get credentials for a radio station out in Warrenton. And maybe a month or so later, he's hooking me up with Jackie Slater, who's in his final year.
Right.
He's a Hall of Famer now to do broadcasts with. So he went from strict being to that. But I do remember one time when the Dome first opened up, it was at halftime of the game, and you were like sitting there drinking a Mountain Dew, and you had your feet up on the table, and popcorn, and Rick Smith walks by and says,
What did he say?
He says, "Are you working?"
Yeah, he said, "Are you working?" I had my feet there, and I was just enjoying the game. And he said,
like,
"Where's
no.
a pencil? Do you have a pen? Do you have a notebook?" And Charlie Tuna's next to me, and he said the same thing to Charlie.
Oh my gosh. Now, being an athlete for many, many years, I know you like to surf, you like to do all that outdoor stuff. It puts you in the sun. You know, you're not an Italian guy with dark hair and,
Right.
and a beard you can get by the end of the day. So myself included, a little more fair skin. I guess, is that where you think you developed the cancer?
Well, I mean,
too much exposure,
we have
or?
a family history of skin cancer, and we grew up with the swimming pool. We have 10 kids in the family, so we were out there all day. You know, it's just, who knows? I mean, I've also had malignant melanoma, and as you look at the pictures right here, that's when I had to go through some, it's called a hell ointment. It's chemo ointment. And I have a, have a piece of tape on my right, can I say nipple?
Yeah, I
okay,
think so.
my right nipple. They took that in one of the surgeries, so that's gone. So if anybody's going to get me like a nipple ring for Christmas or my birthday, just get one. You
And
don't
then
need
your
to get
ear
two.
took a hit.
Yeah, I had a 9-hour surgery here where you can see they took part of my ear, 300 stitches from here on down. They had to take tendons out of my legs and basically reattach the entire right side of my face, all the nerves.
That's
So,
unbelievable.
and that was a 9-hour surgery. That was one of the 9 surgeries I've had since February 17.
9 surgeries in 17 months. How do you cope and keep such a good attitude?
You know, life is short. I mean, look at Larry Cutler. You know, I mean, it's, I'm blessed to have my faith, my family, my friends. You know, you surround yourself with good people in life, and you can get through things. And it's interesting, you know, life is like surfing, all right? Every day is different, every wave's different. In surfing, you're always going forward. You fall off, you get back up on your board. And I just, you know, I was going through a tough time back in about 2014. Some things going on in my life, and I used to go to St. Gabe's Church once or twice a week during the week, and I would just sit there. And I'd just look up at the cross, and I'm like, dude, you got to give me something. I need some breadcrumbs. I need a challenge. And I didn't ask for anything specifically. I probably should ask like for a date with Jennifer Aniston or something. But God gave me this cancer, and he said, all right, here's the deal. You're gonna meet this challenge, but something better is going to come out of it. You're going to do good things with this, and something better has come out of it. I mean, I've been able to help a lot of charities by being open about this and helping people get screenings, and I wouldn't change anything. I'm the luckiest guy on the face of the earth, and I'm so blessed.
Well, Brian has not let his battle with cancer get the best of him. In fact, he served as the Grand Marshal for the 2018 St. Patrick's Day Dogtown Parade. One of my goals this year is going down to the Dogtown Ancient Hibernians Parade, you know, the St. Patrick's Day, the good one there on Dam, because I knew you were going to be the Grand Marshal. And I was down there, and I made sure my first interview was with you.
I
that
remember.
day. And I'm looking at this picture right there, and it really brings back a lot of memories, man, because it seems like everything at that moment, you know, it's just kind of stopped in time. What was going through your mind on this day as the Grand Marshal Dogtown Parade?
It was like a dream. I mean, I felt like Ferris Bueller. It was just incredible. All these people out there having fun, and just they chose me, which I mean, when they called me, I actually started crying. When the Ancient Order of Hibernians called me and said, we want to honor you as the Grand Marshal for all the charity work you've done and for, you know, fighting cancer. They said courageously, that was their word. And I couldn't believe it. And then to have my family there with me and seeing you, I haven't seen you. You know, we see each other a couple times a year, but it was just, it was one of the greatest days of my life. There's no doubt about it.
You know, Brian, you're a very active guy. You like to play sports. You like to box, MMA, do all that surf, all that neat stuff. And how have you been dealing with this going through your cancer battle?
It's been doable and challenging, but when you know you're diagnosed with cancer, you have to make a decision. Am I going to be the bug or the windshield? All right, and I just chose to be the windshield. And it has been tough, but many blessings have come out of this. I mean, you take a look around this room, all these cards from all the kids in the neighborhoods, and you just read this. Dear Brian, thank you for all you do for our school. Please get well soon. I hope you feel better. That's from Samaya, you know, right up the street. And that gives me energy. So when I'm feeling down, I sit in this room and I just have to look around and tell myself, snap out of it. Life's wonderful.
All right, so we're here at Brian's house right across from Francis Park on Ivanhoe. I mean, I don't think it's any secret where you live.
I don't think so.
Talk about your buddy outside, you know, the guy that overlooks, Francis Park, or the guy out there with
Yeah.
the monocle.
That is, he's known in the neighborhood as Manny. That's my MMA kicking and striking dummy. And so for the last 17 months, I haven't been able to train, and I just train in the backyard. So one time I just put him out there, I think it was on St. Pat's Day, and I just dressed him up in green. And all of a sudden, the kids in the neighborhood fell in love with him, and they're like, Mr. McKenna, can you put like their grade school shirts or their uniforms? And so I just started doing that. Next thing you know, I have charities calling me, and so Manny just gets a different outfit. People drop stuff off, like for the Susan, the Komen fundraiser. All these fundraisers are giving me a shirt, and so I just put the shirt on and give the charity some visibility.
So Brian, can you explain a typical day while battling this cancer?
Well, this kind of used to be a typical day. Thank God I'm past all this. This is just all the medication I've had over the last 17 months, and I keep it out here for two reasons. One, I still have to write down everything. I just want to keep a record of it myself. And two, it's a daily reminder how far I've come. I can honestly tell you right now, out of everything here, I'm only taking one drug, and that's the chemo pill, which I have 4 more weeks of. So I'm off all of this. I mean, all of it.
And over here, is this your nighttime medicine? Over here, this is your evening
yes.
medicine?
This
Or are
is
these
morning.
gifts?
This is no today, but had the family over, the McKennas. We have 10 kids. I have 73 nieces and nephews. Yeah, 73. So, and by the way, the ones over 21 could partake, not the other ones. But then I have all my vitamins, and I get up every morning early. And the first thing I do is I get my coffee, but then I go to the gym right away, because if I don't go to the gym, the nausea kicks in a lot. And usually before noon sometime, the nausea picks up. So I go to the gym, and then the rest of the day, ServPro allows me to work out of the house, and I take a nap when I feel like it, or just go out on my balcony and just get some fresh air. But yeah, I'm off all that, and once in a while I do a little of that. I'm Irish, come on.
Amazing, Brian. It's
Wow.
like brings tears to me just watching that.
Cow. And I don't know who put that together. They did a fantastic job.
They sure did. Jerry Berwin and Diane Buckman.
Wow.
Yeah, they did a bang-on job. At the very end of that, there's a two-shot. You were able to take 2 people in the parade with you. You're only supposed to take 1.
Right.
But you took 2. You broke the rules.
Yes.
Who did you take?
I asked my twin brother if he wanted to join me, and my family, there was about 70 of them there. They go every year, and they're like, no, we want to stay here. So we got together, and we decided we'd find some kid who was suffering from cancer, and maybe that was like their wish. So a couple nurses I know found Kylie, who lives in Washington, Missouri, and Kylie is battling cancer, and Kylie's going to win. And so I didn't know Kylie, but I talked to their parents, and they said, she'd love it. And they said, we'll be there, and we're bringing her sister, Skylar. And I said, how old's Skylar? And Skylar's like 7. I said, Skylar's riding with us. So I didn't even, what is it? Don't ask for permission, ask for forgiveness. So I just told them both to hop in the car. And it was one of the greatest days of my life. And having those 2 there with me made it even more special.
Throughout your house and your motto, what's your motto?
Your vibe attracts your tribe.
I love it.
And it's the truth. I mean, surround yourself with good people who have character and integrity. And somebody made that for me. Somebody sent that to me in the mail. Life is short, and your true currency in life is the effect you have on others. Life isn't about power and money and material things. It's about the effect you have on others. My parents always taught us that, we didn't have a lot of money. We had 10 kids. My dad was the former director of public welfare. Don't wait till somebody in your family gets sick to go raise money for cancer. Be proactive with something like that. I volunteer up the street at Nottingham High School for developmentally disabled inner city kids. one of the best things I've ever done in my life. I get so much out of that. It's almost selfish. I just go there 2 days a week, shoot hoops, play ping pong with them, you know, and you saw my man cave. All those cards are from the kids up the street.
That's
I'm
amazing.
blessed. Dude, listen, I have a great life.
It's amazing. It's safe to say that the McKenna clan doesn't have any fertility issues.
No, not really. I don't know what the hell's going on, but 73 nieces and nephews. Get some birth control or
I
something.
mean, do you know them all?
No. The funny thing is, we had a family reunion a couple weeks ago, and 3 kids walked by, and I mean, they're this big, and they're like, "Hey, Uncle Brian, how are you?" And I said, "First of all, am I your godfather? Do I owe you any money today for birthdays?" I'm like, "No." I said, "Who are you?" "I'm Finn. I'm Declan. You know, I'm Seamus." And I was like, "All right, you know." Nice to see you guys again.
That's great. How did you end up on the Oprah Winfrey Show? We got a shot of that. We put it up a little earlier. We're going to put it up again.
Yeah.
But how did you get on the Oprah Winfrey? There it is, right there.
Greatest moment of my life.
good-looking
That's
guy
my mother, Virginia, who passed away in 2013, and I like to write when I'm down. And what I do is I get out a piece of paper. I've been doing this for years, and I just write something. Just express my feelings. I find it very therapeutic, and then I throw it in the trash can. Well, I was having a bad day, so I thought I'd write about my mom. So I wrote, "I love my mom. My dad passed away. I'd like for her to be my Valentine." And I just went, you know what? This one's too good to throw away. My mom loved Oprah. Watched it religiously. Todd, I put it in an envelope, just mailed it to the Oprah Winfrey Show. And you know, she gets thousands of letters. I just mailed it. I didn't want to be on the show. I actually just wanted somebody to pick up that letter, open it, and know how wonderful my mom is. And they called, and this woman called and said, "Hey, this is Kim McCabe, the producer for the Oprah Winfrey Show." And I said, "Put Jimbo on the phone." She goes, "Excuse me?" I said, "I thought it was my buddy Jimbo playing a joke on me." And then I realized I didn't tell anybody that I sent that. And then we surprised my mom. I had to make up a lie. They paid for everything, but to get her to the Oprah Winfrey Show. And then we were in the audience, and they called us up. And the show that day was, "Tell somebody you love them before the bricks run out of the road." And everyone in the audience that day, every guest was a surprise. So I was able to surprise my mom on the Oprah Winfrey Show.
That's amazing.
She was a rock star when she got back to St. Louis. All the church ladies, you know, kept talking about it, and it just put her on cloud 9.
You know, you're going to beat this thing, Brian. I know
yeah.
that you're in great shape. You've taken good care of your body. I think that's a big reason why you're beating this, and you're going to beat it. And you love living there in Francis Park, looking at in St. Louis. You're a city resident for a long time, and I know you love living in the city.
Yeah, I'm not
St. Louis.
moving. So if anybody wants my place, you're not getting it, because I just love St. Louis Hills. I love the city, South City. It's growing, and yeah. You know you're welcome to come over and drink a beer with me on the balcony anytime.
You got it, buddy.
All right.
Any final thoughts?
No, just everyone, seriously, you know, just
screening,
love.
get screened.
Yeah, get screened. Get screened. If you see a red spot or something, get screened. It's probably nothing, but do it, and just, you know, like Oprah said on the show that day, you know, let somebody you know that you love them before the bricks run out of the road.
That's a great saying.
The
Thanks
vibe
again,
attracts your
Wilfred.
tribe, dude.
I mean, I'm gonna steal that here and there when you're not around. That's our show for today, folks. We'd definitely like to thank editor Diane Buckman, videographer Jerry Berwin for making this show possible, and everyone watching on Charter, AT&T, Uverse, and YouTube. I'm Todd Blackstock. Thanks for watching Inside Sports. We'll see you next time.